Hello everyone, welcome to Jets TV. Please comment and subscribe, guys. Comment and subscribe, like the videos. Also share the videos as well. I want to thank everyone that does watch and share my videos. You folks are the absolute best. So without further ado, folks, let's go ahead and get into NFL football. I want to talk about these championship games we got. I'm ready. I'm so excited. Football's back. It's playoff time. People are trying to see who's going to go to the Super Bowl. We need to talk about these championship games, but whoa. You guys always remind me, I hear you every single time. You're like, Joe, what is your problem, dude? You have to do your divisional round recap. I know, I'm sorry. I know, I made some picks last week, and I need to talk about what happened. I need to talk about my coverage of them and what was the outcome of those games. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about my divisional round recap first, and then we'll get into the championship games a little bit later. All right, so let's talk about my divisional round recap. So first game I covered in the divisional round, Falcons at Eagles. Took the Falcons in this football game, and I got myself a loss. Eagles beat the Falcons 15-10. Eagles defense stepped up, man. A lot of goal line stands. They were able to really hold the Falcons in certain places. The Eagles did their thing. Foles was very solid in this football game as well. Man, the Eagles just did what it took, man. That's all you can say. The Eagles did what it took and took the game away, especially with those goal line stands, man. Just big time. Defense came up big time. So shout out to the Eagles. You got yourselves a win. I took the Falcons. I got myself a loss, all right? Next game I covered, Saints at Vikings. Took the Vikings in this football game, and I got myself a W. Vikings beat the Saints 29-24, man. Listen. It's not always easy, all right? It's not always easy, all right? Listen, it came down to the last second, okay? Case Keenum throws up a bomb to his wide receiver, Diggs. Diggs catches the football jumping, comes down. The rookie safety from the Saints whiffs on the tackle. Diggs is able to get his feet under him and take off running towards the end zone, touchdown. Place just erupts. It just went absolutely crazy. Diggs is standing there with his hands out, threw his helmet off. I mean, everyone's just going nuts. The Vikings just won the game on the last play. Shout out to Diggs, man. But I also want to take the time to really say, you know, that young safety that whiffed the tackle, let's not dump on him. I'm really hoping the entire Saints community, as well as the franchise, the team, really surround that young safety and, you know, boost his confidence, get him back up, you know, make sure that he's all right. Because, again, this is a player that is young and talented, you know, and I think he has the talent to be one of the better safeties in the NFL. This is just a mistake he made. He's a young safety, still trying to find his way in the NFL. Don't dump on that kid. Allow him to continue to grow. So shout out to him, but shout out to the Vikings. They did what it took. They got themselves a win. I chose the Vikings as well, and I got myself a W, all right? A much-needed W. So listen, now it's time to move on, okay? Divisional round, that's in the past. It's time to talk about these championship games. I want to talk about who's going to move on to the Super Bowl. So let's talk about these championship games right now. First game I want to cover, Jags at Pats. Man, listen, you look at the Patriots, there's already reports coming out. A lot of people are calling it smoke screens. They're saying, hey, Brady's hands got a cut on it. He cut it during a practice on a teammate's helmet. You know, it made me stitches. You got people coming out saying it was a bloody mess and they had to give a bunch of stitches to it. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a smoke screen, but I understand why people would be very suspicious or very, you know, wondering about why all of a sudden, you know, his hand is cut, and is this, you know, some mischief that the Patriots are doing yet again? It could be. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that it couldn't be, but let's say that it is real, okay? Because it's news. Even when he was asked about it, even when the coaches, any other teammates were asked about it, they declined to talk about it, but he was wearing gloves, you know, red gloves everywhere. Hey, maybe it is real. So let's say if it is real, my question for the Patriots is, if Brady's hand is cut, how will that affect his play? You know, I'm pretty sure he's going to be dealing with a lot of pain. You know, how much pain is we talking about? How is it going to affect his accuracy? You know, how is it going to affect how he gets the ball out of his hands? That's going to be huge against this Jaguars defense because they play no games. Okay, they play absolutely no games. And there's so little margin for error against them. If you don't put the ball in the right spot in the right time, somebody's going to get that football from your wide receiver, or somebody's going to pick that football off and they're going to take it right back to the house. We've seen them do this time and time again. And that leads me to my next point. Brady's hands hurt. He might need a little bit more time to gather himself. Can this offensive line hold up from this Jags front? Listen, the Jags are all about business up front. I keep saying this, man. These guys bring the briefcase to the game, and they don't play. They don't play. Malik Jackson, you got Darius up there, you got Campbell up there, you got Jack up. Jack is the young linebacker. He's being sent on blitzes often. They also got this kid Smith. I think he's number 50. He is an absolute beast. He showed up and showed out against the Steelers, okay? And that secondary solid as well. Jalen Ramsey, he's popping off left and right. He's also showing up in every single game, showing that he, maybe the best corner in the entire league, hands down, period. You got a Boye on the other side playing well. Listen, if the Patriots cannot protect Brady, this will be a long game for them. And he'll be getting banged around left and right, and that will absolutely affect their offense, and it could turn into turnovers as well. And if it turns into turnovers for the Jags, especially fumble recoveries and stuff like that, that could turn into points for them as well because they'll run it back. You look at the Jags side of the football, my question, I'm sure everybody else's question is pretty much the same thing for the Jags to continue to move forward, for the Jags to compete in this football game. Can Blake Bortles continue to be solid? He doesn't have to be all-war Blake Bortles. He doesn't have to be, Aaron Rodgers, Blake Bortles. He does not have to be that. Can he be the guy that just consistently makes plays? The guy that we saw against the Steelers, that when the chips were down, when it was 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 7, he was just able to get the ball to a receiver in a timely manner to allow them to continue to move the chains. Because if they do that, if Blake Bortles can do that, can keep his composure and his cool in this football game and continue to allow the Jags to move the football, move the chains, and not make the big mistake, oh man, the Jags are going to be tough to beat, dude. The Jags are going to be tough to beat. I think that was one of the big questions coming into this season that everybody had about the Jags. Was everybody thought the defense was solid. They had some offensive weapons. Even with, Allen Robinson being gone, the weapons were still decent. But, Blake Bortles at the helm just gave you no faith. But if he's playing solidly, it changes things. The other question I have is about Leonard Fournette. I know he tweaked his ankle a little bit on that Steelers game. I'm pretty sure he's going to play, but where is he at health-wise? Is he going to continue to be the beast Leonard Fournette that we've seen so far? The guy that when they were handing him the football, he was able to get, yards after yards, carry guys, where he was just running through tackles and nobody could bring him down at all. How much is that ankle injury going to hamper him? He's been nicked up throughout the season with that ankle injury as well, and it affected his play throughout the season. So we're going to see how he moves forward with that in the playoffs. So with all of that said, guys, I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this football game. I know the bandwagon for the Jaguars is getting, filled up to the brim. But let me tell you something. If Blake Bortles can continue to just be solid, I have a hard time seeing a lot of teams, this Pats team, beating the Jags. I mean, they have so much up front defensively. They've got so much, in the back end as well defensively. They can lock a lot of guys down, just man-on-man coverage. They don't have to double people, with some of the corners they got. But if they're also producing offensively, oh, man, this is such a tough team to beat. So I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars to beat the Patriots 23-14, guys. 23-14, I am taking the Jags. So next game I want to cover, we're just going to move right along. It's going to be Vikings at Eagles, man. Vikings at Eagles. Listen, you look at the Vikings side of the football, and the first thing I'm thinking is, can this defense get to Nick Foles early and often? You got to bang him around. You have got to get the timing of this Eagles offense awry. You have absolutely got to set fire to this Eagles offense and just absolutely dissipate it. It cannot be functional, okay? It cannot be functional on this day. Because let me tell you something. If Nick Foles is allowed to go out there and be efficient like he was in his last game, he was 23 of 30 in the last game. He had 246 yards throwing the football. He had 100.1 passer rating. You cannot let that be the Nick Foles that you play against on that day, all right? You can't do it. The Vikings have to get at Nick Foles. They have to bang him around. They have to get after him. They have to lay the wood to this guy so that he does not help the Eagles in any way offensively. You look at the Eagles side of the football, man, and the first thing I'm thinking is, can this Eagles defense slow down Diggs and Thielen? Can they do that? This team is coming in with a lot of weapons, man, and I think the Eagles' offense is going to struggle just a bit. So the Eagles' defense is really going to have to step it up a couple notches to keep this game close, man. Because the Vikings are coming in with a Case Keenum that is playing out of his mind. You got Murray back there running the football. You got Diggs and Thielen on the outside, and let's not forget Rudolph. A lot of people forget him. But let's not forget him as well. He's an offensive weapon. The Eagles are going to have their hands full in this football game. Can they slow down this Vikings offense? Can they get after these guys, Because they're going to have to, just to keep it close. So that's my question for the Eagles. So with all that said, guys, I am taking the Minnesota Vikings to beat the Eagles 30-20. I love the Vikings. I love them coming into the playoffs. I know it was a nail biter, last week for them against those Saints, but they were able to make the big play when it was needed and they moved forward. I think the Vikings are going to do just enough in this football game to get themselves to the next round. It's going to be hard fought, but I see the Vikings pulling it out yet again, 30-20. So comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about that. So now we're moving forward, folks. Listen. It is time to talk about the Jets, Jets, all right? It's time for some Jets talk, guys. Last week we talked about the running backs. That kind of is what it is. Now I want to talk about a positional group on this football team that needs some work, that, is a big talk around a lot of Jets fans, and that's the offensive line, folks. The offensive line needs some work here. We just fired John Morton. Our current, now he's our former offensive coordinator, but he was our offensive coordinator this year. Just got him out of there. So there's some question about who we're going to hire. Is it Jeremy Bates? He's already here. He's in-house. He's our quarterback coach. I know he worked with Morton on the game plan throughout the year. Is he the guy that's going to be the signal caller? Is it Todd Haley? Is it DeFlippo? Who's it going to be? Because whoever we hire could really have an impact on how our offensive line looks, period. With different schemes they're going to bring in, blocking formulas, different things they may want guys to do. Some guys could be here, some guys could not be here. So that's a big thing. But just as of right now, off of the players that we have and the way that they played throughout the season, man, look, you got Beachum at left tackle, you got Carpenter at left guard, you got Wesley Johnson at center, you got Brian Winters at right guard, and you got Shell at right tackle. Just throughout the season and the play that I saw, look, Wesley Johnson is not an NFL center. I'm sorry to tell you. He is cheap, rash. That guy is awful. Okay, you have got to attack free agency and get yourself a center here. You've got to do that. There's some names that could be out there. I'm not going to start throwing them out because they haven't necessarily been, absolutely signed off. And this guy's going to be a free agent because, some guys wait till the last second to sign their deals. But if there's a top center that's out there, the Jets have to attack that in free agency. We've got $100 million. If we're talking about bringing a young quarterback or any damn quarterback here, he has got to be protected. And Wesley Johnson is not the guy that you want to move forward with in hopes that he will protect your quarterback. No, you got to get rid of him. So center is something that we need to address immediately. I also, Beachum at left tackle, I don't like it. I think I would say, hey, attack left tackle in free agency, but I am not willing to pay what it will take to get a top left tackle here. I think that's something we have to attack in the draft. I would love to see us take, offensive line fairly early in the draft and get a left tackle in here that's going to be able to be there for years. I'd like to see Beachum move to the right side. I'd like to see him play right tackle. I'm not a big believer in Shell. He struggled on and off this season. I want him just there for depth purposes. I have no problem with him being on the bench, but I do not want him to be a starter. So with Beachum, I think move to right tackle, with Carpenter there at guard, with a new center. Brian Winters, I know a lot of people are down on Brian Winters. They may not like him. I think he had an all right season due to the fact, hold on guys before you yell at me, due to the fact that he had a torn abdomen. If he comes back next season fully healthy, I think Brian Winters can be a solid guard. He may not be the best guard in the world, but he can be a solid guard. But I tell you what, hell, if the Jets want to draft a right guard, or if they see a right guard out there in free agency that they feel is better than Winters, I wouldn't, I'm not going to scream, kick, and cry if they decide to take a shot at that as well. I wouldn't scream, kick, and cry at that whatsoever. But I would rather see them draft a right guard, to come in here and play that spot. There's some guys, that are here for depth as well. Dozier, Ajalana, I'd like to see brought back. I do not want him on that contract that he has right now because he is making a lot of money. This is not playing, but I'd like to see a guy like Dozier brought back, Harrison as well, Jonathan Harrison, who's a guy that's on, on our depth as well. He came in and played a little bit when Wesley Johnson was off. He was able to start a game. He looked solid out there, but I don't like him as a starter. But also bulking up some of the depth positions on our offensive line as well. So just in case guys go down, then we could bring guys in that can still be functional and play and, not hamper the offensive line as well. So offensive line is going to be big for us, especially this offseason, because again, we have issues at quarterback. We're looking for our franchise quarterback, whether it be the draft, whether it be free agency, but he's got to get protected. He's got to get protected, and if you don't bring guys to protect him, we're going to be in trouble for quite some time. So offensive line is big. You must address it. You must address it. So with all that said, guys, comment down below. Please comment, rate, subscribe, guys. Comment, rate, subscribe, like the videos. Also share the videos as well. I want to thank everyone that does watch and share my videos. Enjoy your times watching these championship games. Enjoy your times with your family. Sunday's here. Football is here. Have a good time. Drink soda, drink juice, eat the pizza. Be safe out there. A lot of people like to party around this time, do their thing. Don't drink and drive. And have a good time, all right? Make some memories with your families and your folks. Have a good day, folks. Peace.